They sent Mara Ven underground on the day of consensus. The sky over Colony 7 was still blue then. The air was thin but breathable. The soil was stubborn yet workable. Humans were tolerated guests, barely. They were useful with machines. They were clever with chemistry. But they were loud with ideas. The council did not like ideas. Mara had too many of them. She argued during meetings. She questioned models. She tested assumptions. When the climate forecasts came in and showed instability, she was the only one who refused to sign approval. She said the numbers were wrong. The council said the numbers were sufficient. She said the solar cycles were shifting. They said the averages held. She said the ice sheets on the far pole were reacting too fast. They said the variance was acceptable. When she asked to build a closed ecosystem for long-term testing, they laughed. When she asked to dig deep and insulate against thermal swings, they frowned. When she asked for power reserves beyond quota, they voted. Consensus reached. Human Mara Ven was reassigned to subsurface level 3, independent research, minimal resource draw, no surface access without escort. Banished was the word whispered later. Mara accepted the order without protest. She packed her tools. She loaded seed vaults. She brought soil cultures and fungal mats and algae strains. She carried water filters on her back and solar sheets folded tight like cloth. No one helped her. The lift dropped her through layers of stone and reinforced shell until the air grew warm and still. Level 3 was old. It had been carved during the first landing as a contingency shelter, then forgotten. Mara turned the lights on herself. She worked. She sealed chambers and lined them with reflective insulation. She built planters from waste polymer. She ran power lines and stacked batteries. She planted moss first, then tubers, then grain. She inoculated soil and waited. She sang while she worked. Quiet human songs with steady rhythm. The first harvest took 4 months. The council did not ask for reports. They did not check her progress. They were busy expanding surface structures. They were busy celebrating trade milestones. They were busy ignoring the cold. The cold came early. The sun dimmed by a fraction that mattered. The axial wobble shifted just enough. Storms grew sharper. Snow fell where rain had always fallen. The thermal models began to drift. Mara felt it underground before the alarms sounded. Her sensors showed the truth. The surface temperature trend bent downward hard. The ice sheets surged. The reflectivity spiked. The feedback loop closed like a fist. She sent a message to the council. The reply was delayed. They said the weather was temporary. She expanded anyway. She dug deeper. She layered more insulation. She rerouted heat from generators into water storage. She planted fast-growing greens. She stacked shelves with nutrient gel and dried grain. She worked until her hands cracked. She smiled when the first tomatoes ripened under artificial sun. Above her, the world froze. The day the last surface lake iced solid, the council sent another message. They asked for updated projections. Mara sent them raw data. No commentary. No argument. Silence followed. 2 weeks later, the power grid on the surface failed. Wind tore panels loose. Ice clogged intakes. Heating systems fell behind. Species that thrived in mild cold began to die. Hatcheries failed. Food stocks dwindled. The council convened emergency session. They remembered the human underground. The first request came formal and stiff. It cited shared survival obligations. It requested access to subsurface level 3 for assessment only. Mara read it while pruning lettuce. She did not answer. The second request came urgent. It asked for space for children and elders, temporary shelter, limited duration. Mara harvested potatoes. She did not answer. The third message dropped all pretense. It was a plea. The words were unpolished. The translation software struggled with emotion. They were cold. They were hungry. They were afraid. Mara sat on a crate and listened to the hum of her systems. Water flowed. Fans turned. Leaves rustled. The air smelled of earth and life. She replied with coordinates and a time. The lift doors opened to chaos. Dozens of figures crowded the platform, their skin tones dulled by cold, their frills brittle, their eyes too wide. They carried children wrapped in insulation cloth. They clutched data slates and ration packs like relics. They expected a bunker. They stepped into a garden. Warm air washed over them. Light glowed soft and steady. Green stretched in all directions. Vines climbed walls. Grain waved under fans. Water trickled in open channels. The sound made several of them cry out in shock. Mara stood waiting. She wore work clothes stained with soil. Her hair was tied back. Her face was calm. The council speaker stepped forward. Their voice shook. "You built this alone." Mara nodded. "You were given minimal resources." Mara nodded again. "We were wrong." Mara did not nod. She turned and walked. They followed because there was nowhere else to go. She showed them the rules. No hoarding, no damage, no interference with systems. Everyone worked. Everyone learned. Children planted seeds. Elders sorted grain. Scientists cleaned filters and logged growth rates. The aliens learned human patience. Weeks passed. The surface became uninhabitable. The greenhouse expanded. Mara taught them crop rotation. She taught them waste cycling. She taught them that closed systems demanded respect. You could not take without giving back. You could not ignore small changes. You could not average away the future. They listened. They watched her hands. They copied her methods. They asked questions she had once asked them. Why this depth? Why this insulation? Why so many backups? Mara answered every one. Because space is hostile. Because comfort is temporary. Because survival favors the prepared. One cycle, the council speaker asked why she had not let them in sooner. Mara paused. She said, because you needed to understand that this was not charity. This was proof. You banished me because I challenged your certainty. You came back because certainty failed you. The speaker bowed their head. We will rebuild differently. Mara nodded. The greenhouse became a city. Stone chambers turned into living districts. Lights followed circadian rhythm. Crops diversified. Protein vats grew efficient. Pollinator drones hummed between flowers. Children born underground thought green was the natural color of the world. The surface remained white. Years later, probes confirmed the freeze would last centuries. The colony survived anyway. They taught other settlements. They shared designs. They changed governance models. Consensus still mattered, but so did dissent, especially dissent backed by data and dirt under the nails. Mara aged among the plants she loved. Her hands grew slower, her voice softer. She trained others to take her place. She kept a small private plot where she grew tomatoes the old way in real soil. When she died, the lights dimmed for one cycle. They buried her beneath the largest tree. Its roots drank from warm water and rich ground. Its leaves brushed the ceiling. Above it, a plaque was set in stone. It did not list her crimes. It did not mention her exile. It read, "She prepared." And because she did, we endure